Romanswhat, the last town before the vast wide glacial waste of the tundra. Active tuber Emilio Talk, guardian of the Imperial Editing, and General Manager at your service. Ladies and gentlemen, how may I... Wait, where are my manners? Before we continue, let's switch to a warmer place. Okay, much better and much quieter to talk about the first Syberia game.
You stupid talking about Romanswhat in the intro, bro! That's from Syberia too, you moron!
Well, he's actually quite right. But before we get started, welcome to this episode of
Talk Retro Corner.
As mentioned, today we will dive deeper into Benoît Sokal's universe, and we start with his second game, Syberia. As of the making of this video, the series consists of 4 games. The first one released back in 2002 and was heavily remastered in 2025. But before we unbox the limited edition and check out the differences between original and remaster, let's take a minute to remember a great artist, writer and game developer, Benoît Sokal.
Benoît Sokal was born in 1954 in Brussels, Belgium. At age 20, after graduating from the École Supérieure des Arts Saint-Luc, he began drawing short comics for the local magazine À Suivre. Not unlike another famous comic artist with whom he actually cooperated for this crossover. Which brings us to Inspector Canardo, an anthropoid private investigator duck, expendable to those around him and with severe personal problems. This not-so-charming protagonist has an extreme alcohol and cigarette addiction. After the Inspector Canardo comics became popular, these were combined and published as an album in 1979. But Benoît Sokal did not stop here. He continued releasing 25 albums between 1981 and 2018, including La Maison in 1986. 3 years prior to this release, Benoît Sokal moved to Reims, France, where he later joined forces with Microids and would develop his very first game, Emerson, a loose adaptation on his now 13-year-old comic, and this time without Inspector Canardo. And this not only marks the beginning of a long-lasting partnership, but also the starting point of the Syberia universe, since both Emerson as well as Syberia share the same world.
As said, there are currently 4 mainline Syberia titles, but unfortunately Benoît Sokal never got to see the finished 4th game, The World Before. He passed away in May 2021, merely 10 months before its release. Besides the Syberia series, he also worked on other games like Paradise or Sinking Island. But for gamers, he will always be remembered as being the mastermind behind the Syberia series. As said, the original game released back in 2002 and was remastered in 2025. But this is not just a simple remaster, it is so much more. But before we dig into the gameplay and analyze the improvements, let's unbox the limited edition.
Alright, this limited edition comes in a cardboard sleeve with... Wait, what? Recycling labels? To environmentally friendly dispose of it, I guess. Yeah, well, I hope this doesn't speak for the quality of this remaster. Anyway, inside the sleeve there is the so-called media book, The Art of Syberia. It feels of premium quality, and with the spine I would even consider putting it on my bookshelf, besides Perry Rhodan and Nancy Drew. But then again, what to do with the sleeve? The art book is split into 2 sections. In the first section, there are sketches and art from the original game, while the second section focuses on the remaster. This is a great way to pay tribute to Benoît Sokal and at the same time honor the artists and developers of this remaster. Towards the end of this book, we finally find out why the apparently disposable sleeve calls it a media book. It contains the game on a physical disc, like the complete game.
I really like these limited editions. They feel premium and they don't really take up any more space than any other game. Okay, with that being said, it's finally time to...
Yo, big bro, this unboxing was cool and stuff, but is it so tough to get like a super sick exclusive collector's edition or what?
Oh well, with that being said, let's insert the disc and pick up the controller.
Okay, here we are, and let's first talk a bit about the story. Not too much though, since we did that already in the full review of the original game. So, in Syberia, we take the role of
Kate Walker?
a,
Single female lawyer fighting for her client.
well, not yet, but we will get to this later. Or not. Anyway, she works for a New York law firm and was sent to this beautiful French village of Valladolid to seal the deal for the takeover of the local automaton factory by the Universal Toy Company.
Boring.
Fortunately for us, the devs thought of a way to actually make this interesting. So, who is the current owner of this factory again?
Oh, yes, Miss Anna. Such a great loss for Valladolid, it really is. Because now that she's dead, the factory will close.
What? Anna Vorarlberg is dead?
Well, and with that out of the way, dear Anna won't sign the paperwork any longer. Anyway, for those of you that didn't pay attention thus far, worry not. The useless local notary recaps the situation and comes to a mind-blowing conclusion.
Miss Walker, I am afraid that the sale of the Vorarlberg factory is not as straightforward as it first seemed.
Whoa there.
Yep, who would have guessed? But hey, he is not that useless after all, since he presents us with a potential solution.
There is an heir, Miss Walker.
Excuse me? An heir?
Well, off you go, Kate. Just find the heir, get his signature, and go back to New York City. But first things first.
I suppose you've already contacted him? Where can I reach him?
The second half of the letter informs us that Hans Vorarlberg is somewhere in Syberia.
Well, that's that then. I mean, Syberia is only like, what, 5 million square miles, give or take? Alright, so on to the task at hand. How to find Hans Vorarlberg. Well, since Kate does not seem to impress with her knowledge...
Well, you don't seem to know a lot.
I feel like I've lost my way a little here. I could really do with your help.
it is up to us capable players to lend her a helping hand. So we guide her to the local factory where she meets...
I am model XZ2000. My common name is Oscar.
And this year will be our path through all Syberia games. But first, we have to help to repair him before we can start our journey by train. And this is not an ordinary train, no.
It's a clockwork train, you see? So it needs winding up again?
Okay, so we wind up the train and are on our way. Not. Well, dear Kate still needs a ticket, but she's in luck.
Only the ticket vendor may issue tickets. You are in luck. The ticket office must be open now.
We head over to the ticket office and...
What can I do for you, Kate Walker?
A ticket, please.
One ticket?
Yes.
One ticket. What is your final destination?
I don't know. It's you who told me I had to get a ticket.
A ticket to travel, then.
Okay, and at this point, if this is not your kind of humor, then this is not your kind of game. For everyone else, you will love the Syberia games. So, Kate's first adventure is basically a scavenger hunt in the search of the lost heir, Hans Vorarlberg. On her journey, she visits these really cool locations, like the University of
Barrickstadt.
Bollocks what?
Barrickstadt.
Bollock what? Is that a town? I hope the man you're looking for lives there.
or an old Russian cosmodrome where she helps gentleman Boris here to fulfill his lifetime dream of reaching for the stars.
There's two things a good soldier is always ready to do. Drop his pants and spill his blood.
Counselor, I remind you that it's unethical to sleep with your client.
I'll only be needing your blood.
In her pursuit of Hans, she always seems to be a step or two behind.
No, not at all. He left a long time ago. Yes, a very long time ago.
Well, maybe a bit more than that. and she leaves it always in the hands of us capable players to find the next destination. Okay, so much for the story.
Could you repeat that last part?
No. So for this review, let's change up the formula a bit. Why don't we just compare this 2025 remaster to the 2002 original, shall we? Let's get the obvious out of the way, the presentation. While the original was 4:3, well, with a terrible widescreen option that is, the remaster presents itself in true widescreen and up to 4K on the base PS5. The original had 3D characters in front of 2D backdrops, but for this remaster, the devs modeled every location in beautiful, real-time 3D with lights shining onto the characters and slight camera movements. Very, very atmospheric. This allows for different camera angles during dialogues, well, at least during the dialogues that drive the story. They even remade all documents and converted these into 3D. And yes, there's a read function, but honestly, it is so much more immersive to read the originals. Also, the switch to 3D got rid of most clipping issues. Well, should have gotten rid of most clipping issues. You know what? Just forget I ever said anything, okay? And the upgrade to the third dimension as well eliminated these annoying control issues when the camera would suddenly switch, at least if you played on console. Now everything is a long and smooth tracking shot. This must also have been the reason for not allowing Kate to run indoors any longer, but honestly, it fits better to the slow pace and atmosphere of the game. But hey, while outside, she can still run to go faster to wherever you want her to go.
I can't go that way.
Well, for the most part. And due to the more cinematic presentation, the devs now show much more of the surrounding area, compared to what was possible with the fixed camera angles of the original. To summarize this point, the new lighting system, the reflections, the fog, and so on, provide a much more immersive atmosphere. But at the same time, I can't help but to feel that some of Benoît Sokal's signature art style got lost in the translation from 2 to 3D. His use of colors, or the lack of, always gave me a feel of isolation and despair. That's definitely something that's missing here. Alright, maybe the last point about the visuals. The cutscenes basically remain the same. Yes, these are much sharper now and much more colorful, but they are essentially the same. This means that all of a sudden the in-game visuals look actually better than the cinematics. Could they have redone these? Yes, of course. But then again, it is really hard to believe, but Micdroids actually calls this game a remaster and not a remake. So apart from the visuals, what else is different? Well, I'm glad you asked. First, Kate now acts in the very best interest of her name. Kate Catwalk Walker.
And all critics seem to agree.
While we are already on the animation topic, in the original there were some hints of animations when Kate was opening doors, going downstairs, jumping across gaps or climbing a ladder. This was nice to have and provided some immersion. It is a pity that these are missing in the remaster. But where some things got lost, other things were found. The devs added and re-added some of the content. For example, the baker was completely missing in the iOS and Switch ports. Well, I'm happy to say, he is back.
Can I buy something from your bakery?
No, afraid not. Not possible. We're closed.
And he is pretty useless, but hey, let's stay positive here. The devs also added some new puzzles to replace past annoyances. Like this puzzle inside of the church to make a new punch card instead of just finding different colored ones and trying these at random. They also slightly redesigned the puzzle where Kate has to manufacture new feet for Oscar. I mean, who doesn't remember that one? There are now clearer instructions and Oscar's voice immediately sounds through the console telling Kate if the feet are incorrect.
These feet are incorrect, Kate Walker.
This saves you from the frustration of the original, where you had to pick up the feet, give these to Oscar, and only then he would tell you if these were the right ones.
These feet are incorrect, Kate Walker.
If not, you had to go all the way up back to the console for another try. And repeat. This was extremely frustrating, but also part of the love-hate relationship that I had with Oscar. Do I think this improvement here is for the better? Well, I'll let you judge on this one.
These feet are incorrect, Kate Walker.
There are also some small tweaks to existing puzzles, like the one where Kate has to open the dam. In the original, she needs Momo's help. Now, she gets it done by herself. Also, some tedious sections were simplified. In the original, Kate, for example, had to walk all across the map to attend a lecture. The remake miraculously transports her to where she needs to be. And finally, the days of screen-filling subtitles are finally over. There's now the option to deactivate these altogether, or at least when having these on, they don't fill the entire screen any longer. Alright, regarding the sound now. Well, this is a double-sided sword. So, on the one hand, Kate sounds much nicer now.
My company should have made a reservation in the name of Walker. The company is Marson and Lormont Associates. The name is Kate Walker.
I mean, compare this to the original.
My company should have made a reservation in the name of Walker. The company is Marson and Lormont Associates. The name is Kate Walker.
This is definitely an improvement, but on the other hand, the sound is often, and this is unfortunately very noticeable, clipped and chopped off.
Madam Romansky, thank you for stepping in there. I'm so embarrassed to put you to such trouble.
And look, there are definitely some aspects of this remaster that could have been polished a bit more. Like blurry borders already become obvious in the main menu and are really annoying in some of the cutscenes. The background music is way too loud.
It looks like things have changed a bit around here.
Our children have all left the valley. They need to earn a living, don't they?
I initially lowered it to 50%, but that didn't really help any. Well, I ended up setting the music to 10%, which provides a really nice background tune. There are also some visual glitches, like disjointed shadows or blurry textures. And audio glitches that make it sound like a battery-powered bug zapper is following Kate around. But overall, the game is as enjoyable as ever, and it is a blast after so many years to finally be able to play through it in beautiful 3D and in a dub to your liking.
I would like a room.
Ma société a dû faire une réservation au nom de Walker. El bufete Marson y Lormont, para Kate Walker.
Signora Walker, certamente. Le abbiamo riservato la camera 6, è al primo piano.
Danke.
Вы не могли бы мне помочь с багажом?
Pani bagaż, ależ oczywiście.
It is always great to see when devs include different languages. I almost forgot. If you play the PS5 version, you're in for a small and really fun treat. Huh?
Marson and Lormont, how can I help you?
Can you put me through to Mr. Marson,
Wait
please?
a second.
It's Kate Walker.
Hold the line, please.
This is actually pretty cool.
Hello, Kate. So tell me, how's the case going?
In summary, this remaster is a borderline remake. Yes, some things were taken out straight from the original game, and especially the cutscenes break the immersion quite a bit. But so much of the game was remade from the ground up. In my opinion, this remaster is a true tribute to Benoît Sokal, the mastermind behind the adventures of not only Kate Walker, but also of Inspector Canardo, which I have to admit surprised me quite a bit during the research for this video. And with this, we almost reached the end of today's episode. But wait, there is more. Make sure to tune in or follow this playlist to enjoy Syberia, the unauthorized, ridiculously inaccurate comic featuring single female lawyer and American Idol contestant, Katie. This 3-part satire will release on Saturday, starting next week. Okay, before we let the credits roll, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next episode of Talks Retro Corner. Active tuber. Better and much quieter to talk about the first. flap. My glacial waste of the tundra. Romansburg. What's up? In my opinion,
Toilet.